Aloha avakea. O Scott Perry ko'oinoa.
Walina mai ke aloha o Jill Teresumi ko'inoa. Mahalo everyone for being here today.
We're really excited. We're really excited to be here because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking to you about a professional development workshop that we put together for academic counselors here at Honolulu Community College. Right? And we put it chock full of things that we learned directly from a ho'inawai. So hopefully you'll be able to pick out a few things that, that we used and remember your experiences with them. As you'll notice up there, we used a specific title, Rediscover Your Personal Light. And part of the reason why we chose that title is because our counselors here at Honolulu Community College are extremely passionate. And oftentimes they'll meet with students day after day after day, and on occasion when that happens, your bright light grows dim. And so what we tried to do is we tried to do things that will make them, bring back that energy, make their light bright again. So thus the Rediscover Your Personal Light.
And really, it was from Kumu had a video, YouTube video in our modules, and Hinale Wang, I don't know if I pronounced her name correctly, but her TED Talk really inspired us. And she talked about everybody has a light, and we gotta let it shine, and our students have that light, and we gotta let it shine. So it really motivated us to think about how are we gonna incorporate this in an action plan for our academic counselors to give back what we learned to our counseling ohana downstairs, yeah. And so that was the whole purpose of this action plan today, yeah.
Yeah. So we started our presentation by sharing an olipali. And, as I look out, it's kind of like, you ever go to those workshops or those talks where your family comes and, it feels like it's all ohana right here today. So what we'd like to do is if we could ask everyone to stand and join us in reciting the olipali.
Eke okua o kalani me ka honua. Iluna ila loko mana e. He huli akula, he huli maila. Io iane I ko aleha e. Maiuka ke kahi, e ho'opili mai. Aloha no, aloha lae. Mahalo. So again, we learned a lot through each module. Each month we got a module, and we soaked it in. We tried to figure it out by ourselves. I talked to my partner. His office is right next to mine. Mm-hmm. So I would sometimes bounce ideas off, and we would call Kumu and ask her, is this where we should be going? And so we learned about the Na'alike pathways, and we wanted to focus on these 4 pillars, which are developing pilina or relationships, or ike pilina. And we thought that's perfect for our academic counselors. Second is to honor the host culture and use it in our everyday lives with our students, when we're doing presentations with our students, new student registration. And so we wanted to teach the counselor 2 simple phrases and encourage them to use Olelo Hawaii in their everyday lives. Saying good morning, aloha kakahiaka, aloha. And it starts with just that little step. And third is to take care of ourselves, because if we don't take care of ourselves, right? Scott just mentioned, then we cannot take care of our students. And so the whole point of this, we are going to incorporate the lokahi triangle that we learned through our module. And the whole point is to be able to find that balance and then to teach that balance to our students. And then finally, this is my favorite, it was Ike Piko. Ike Piko was my favorite because it's like going on a personal journey to find out who you are, like what your strengths are, why are you here, and why are you doing what you're doing. And so I felt personally I was on this personal journey because our first module, I learned about my name, my family name, and I was shocked to find out from my dad that I am not blood ko'ire, that my grandfather was adopted, and I'm really blood Yamasaki. And till this day, because without Kumu's guidance, I would have never known that I'm not blood Ko'ire. And I would have gone around saying, I'm blood Ko'ire, oh, how come I don't know the other Ko'ires? That's why. Is because of that one activity, and that was so powerful for me, and I know for Scott too, and that's why we were like, oh, how can we share what we just learned? And it was just so amazing. And so those are the 4 pillars that we focused on.
And when we were sharing all this with the participants, we wanted to make sure that they knew a little bit more about a Ho'inawai. So we talked about the program a lot, and we specifically wanted to let them know that we focused on those 4 specific ike that Jill had mentioned. So ike pilina, ike olelo, ike olapono, and ike piko'u. Because those 4 ikes, they had real relevance for academic counselors. And we'll show you what we mean right now.
So we started the presentation. We were fortunate that we got to present this session with our counselors, but we also were invited to also present at HISSI, and then we also had opportunity to present at our Academic Advising and Transfer Network Conference, AATN. And so we always started with this. We wanted them to know who we are, where we come from. And so for me, I shared about my name, and I did mention that I was, through this program, I found out that I really was blood Yamasaki. But just sharing about, Jill and where that came from, that was from my mother. Emiko, my mother and I we're tied together. We both have Emiko, which means beautiful smiling child in kanji. Ko'ire is my dad's side, and the meaning of that is small exit. And Teraizumi is my married name, and that means that it's a fountain, flowing fountain. And so I actually called my father-in-law, I called my mom, and I called my dad, and I never had that opportunity to really talk to them, to ask them, where did I come from? Where does the name come from? And so that was truly powerful, I think, for me on this journey. And then we just went ahead and just shared a little bit about who we are, what we do, what we like to do, and our passion. And then Scott.
You should really hear her sing. She's a beautiful singer. When I was reading hers, and it showed that she does karate, or what was it?
Judo.
Judo. I don't want to get on her bad side, so I don't know if that's true or not.
No. But do you want to?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, so one of the main things that we really wanted to do is kind of give a background about our names, right? So my name Perry, my last name Perry, is actually Welsh. And I was hoping for a real flowery, a real, amazing meaning, but it's really the son of Harry. And way back in like the 1500s, I had an ancestor named Harry, and so that's where the name Perry came from. I know like my first name is a little bit odd because it's spelled S-E-O-T. And that was my one way, or my mother's one way of making me unusual. So I appreciate that. Been an academic counselor for 15 years and just love being here. So, yeah.
And then, we at the conference, we got a chance to have them get to know each other also. But then we took them on the journey that we took with our counselors, right? And so to start off with Ike Pilina, really what synergized us, or what made us come together as a group for the first time, Kapilani and Honolulu together, all in one roof and all in one area and all in one space, was this day. And this day was magical. I don't know about what you guys think, but for me, it was the first day that we got to be vulnerable with each other. And so first we had to get dirty, which of course I don't like to get dirty. But anyways, I still wore makeup, but anyways, I was in there and I was digging the dirt, and this is the ava tree, and we were told to take care of all the brush and bring the plant back to life. And so I was going there and I started just digging, and I felt good that I was helping this plant come back to life, right? And then after that, we had a delicious homegrown meal. Everything we ate was from the land. ho'oulu'aina, right? And the best part about it is that that student right there, that's Nalani, she's actually my welding student. She became my kumu that day. It was so beautiful. Like, I'm always there to help her, but for the first time, roles reversed. She became my kumu. She led us on the journey. She told us about this rock that whenever they passed by, they paid tribute. So all of us put our hands on the rock and we said, thank you for allowing us to be here to learn about this culture, learn about this special place. And so after that, like, this day just floored us. So we came back and we told our counselors downstairs. We had like mud on our face and we're like, we want to do something to inspire our counselors or give back to our counselors. And that's where this action plan sparked, right? And so we during this day, we, at the end of lunch, we were asked to sit around a circle. And Nalani, she came with, we're going to talk to you more about the vials, but she came with 2 healing properties, which is alai, the red clay salt, and then the olena, right? And we were able to put it in our jars, and we were asked to think of that one word that represents our journey, which we're going to ask you guys to do today too, if you haven't done it. But this really sticks with me. It's on my desk 24/7, and it acts as a way for me to recenter myself. When I'm stressed, nervous, anxious, I just hold it, close my eyes, and I can recenter myself. And then I can get through the day. And so this is something that Nalani, she taught us all of this, and she gave her energy to us. And till this day, every time I go to her class, I'm like, thank you, Nalani. And she's like, stop. But I really meant that she really did touch my heart, my soul. And so we wanted to take what we learned, right? It was an amazing day, all excited. We were crying that day. I don't know what happened. It just was magical. We came back, and then we wanted to, how are we going to implement it into the plan and give it back to our counselors? So we got our idea from Erica Balbeck-Gerard. She's our counselor downstairs, and she said, Joe, Scott, what about having this rejuvenation day with the counselors right before spring 2023? And that's what we did. We did a facilities request, we got the hale downstairs, we got the chairs, we made a circle. For the first time ever since 2020, we faced each other, sat down, and had a conversation. All of our meetings are currently on Zoom. We're still on Zoom, and it's easy, right? But for the first time, we came together as ohana, and everybody had a voice. Everybody took a turn to talk, which made it really special because we could hear everybody's story, and we had them share about who they like to bring to the circle. So I said my grandmother, because she really helped me to grow. She was my inspiration. And I mentioned the story, I didn't speak until I was 4 years old, and she got me into singing, and that's how I learned to come out of my shell, is because of my grandma, right? So, and then all of us shared a student success story, which we all have the student that we're currently working with right now who's struggling, and we told them, now give them all of your positive energy in this circle and give it to them right now for this coming semester. And that's what we did. And so all of our counselors told really amazing stories that really, for the first time we were able to do that together. We'd like to just take this opportunity to have this space together. And so we would like, if you wouldn't mind, to partner up. And it's going to be a short activity, but to find a partner and to really, we're going to focus on these 2 things, maybe the story of your name, and you can choose one or the other, and a special quality about yourself. So anybody have a timer? I have my phone. But if we could, yeah. Okay. Everybody partner up. 2 minutes? Okay. Oh, yeah, no problem. Okay, we're gonna come back to the big group. Okay. Oh man, this is awesome. This is like, I hear the energy, the camaraderie. So would any brave partners like to share maybe faith, freedom, beauty? Well, hello. Thank you. did you want to? Okay. Okay. Next. Okay.
That was really
I know she got out of it. Oh, thank you for
That is
sharing.
neat, yeah.
So our next field trip, we've gone on a few, but we were actually fortunate to go, and thank you for hosting us, Auntie Coco, and at Kapilani Community College, and Kumututi Kanahele, she really like got us going, and I was all in there taking notes, me and my notes, and I'm just like, just trying to soak it all in. And so we thought we want to try to bring back the language and have the counselors be able to introduce themselves. So just 2 simple things. We didn't want to overwhelm them, but we did create these little steps, and we had each counselor introduce themselves. Yay! Yeah, he's part of our team downstairs. So,
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
oh, I know. Yeah. So as you can see, we were sitting down. I made some cornbread. We had some turmeric tea because we wanted to we were inspired to use turmeric. So we have some tea and then some cornbread, and this is before the session, and we're just right out there decompressing and talking story right before we started our session. So that was one way to get them to come. I said I would make cornbread, so anyway. But
It was good too.
So this is something that we just thought would be a simple way for them to introduce themselves, and we're encouraging maybe at our NSRs when we introduce ourselves in line or in person, new student registration sessions, to use the language. And again, we need more guidance, Kumu, sorry, because we're not the best, but we are doing our best, and we try and we give our heart to the language as much as we can. And so that's kind of what we did with the counselors. So each one of them did it. I was so proud. And our goal is to really get them to infuse it in what our best practices as academic counselors somehow in our program. So again, that's what we did, and then Scott's going to talk about.
Okay, so the third ike that we brought to our counselors was Ike Olopono. And Ike Olopono is basically caring for the well-being for the spirit and for the body in culturally sensitive ways. It also talks about how you can be more responsible and live a healthy lifestyle. Right? So when we were explaining it to the counselors, we used the Lokahi triangle, and I know some of you have referred to it, so most of you are probably familiar with it. But the 3 points of the Lokahi triangle, first off, Lokahi is harmony. Means harmony, and basically harmony is when you sing in sync, or you're harmonize with those around you, right? And it's kind of a reminder to us that we have to really strive to get along with those around us, right? If you don't get along with those around you, if you don't get along with your coworkers, if you don't get along with your family, then it's going to affect your health. And so that's the first point. The second point is pono. Pono means balance, right? And to be balanced, or to be pono, means that you have the right balance in your relationships with your family, with your friends, with your coworkers, even with the aina, even with the environment around you, right? And we stress this to the counselors, especially because you have to have a balanced lifestyle. You hear this a lot, but a lot of the counselors, they're so dedicated that they work all the time. So we tried to make sure that they were aware that, okay, you have to do other things besides work. There's other areas that you have to utilize within your life. And we're going to talk about that again in just a moment. And then, of course, kuikahi basically is unity. And to be unified means that you get together in a group and you have a similar outcome. And that's what we as counselors try to do, is we all meet constantly to make sure that we're sharing the same material, right? One of my favorite mo'olelo of all is, you might remember this from one of the videos that we were watching. It's He ali'i ka aina he kauwa ke kanaka. And I use this a lot because I really appreciate the meaning. The land is a chief and the people are its servants. So if you really think about that, who is the chief? Well, the chief is the one who's over everyone. And he's someone that we should give respect to, right? When we respect him, then of course he's going to provide for us. He's going to make sure that we're safe. He's going to make sure that we have enough food, that we have enough water. And you can liken this unto every aspect of your life. So you can liken it unto the aina. When you have respect for the aina, when you care for the aina, then of course the aina is going to be fruitful for you, and you're going to have plants grow, you're going to have things to eat. But also, if you have respect for your coworkers, then they're going to have your back. They're going to be there when you need them. And that really resonated with me, resonated with the counselors. And I tried to encourage them to always, be one. And we have been. And that's why I think we've worked very, very well. But as I mentioned earlier, we were trying to encourage them, it's okay to work a lot, but it's okay to go out and do other things. So I wanted to talk about some of those other things. So basically, it's important that you go out and you have proper nutrition and go to the gym and get some good exercise. In fact, I got to tell you, one of the counselors afterwards said that she's going to start bringing her yoga mat and doing yoga in between counseling sessions. So I thought, oh, that was pretty good. I haven't got to that point yet, but I like the idea anyway. Yeah. But it's important that we challenge ourselves, that we read a book, that we attend professional development. It's important that we learn to cope with stress. It's important that we take time to appreciate life, to enjoy your friends and family. You want to make sure that your family knows who you are. You don't want to go down home at the end of the day and they wonder, who's this person? We haven't seen you in a few days, kind of thing. And we stress that. But most of all, we went to them, we found out what they were doing, and we commended them for it. But again, we just want them to look at those pukas, those things that we're missing. And we encourage you to do the same thing. What is missing from this list, and really do your best to try to fill in those pukas. Okay.
And then our last Ike was, or pathway was Ike Piko. And again, this one just resonated with me just because I feel like that's why I joined this program, is to find out more about myself, who I am, why I'm in this role, and then to let my light continue to shine, because I feel like I'm just about to take flight with this program. Even being with Ho'alaho and then being in this program, I'm still, I am far from my goal, and I hope to continue to just kind of lean on you, Kumu, because I want to be able to speak the language better, and I want to be able to understand, and how can I incorporate it in my everyday life a little bit better. So this is just the beginning of our journey. And so again, to bring it back to this wonderful day, this Mahi actually cut this root for us, and we actually passed it around, and we got to try alena. And that was like my first time trying alena. I was like, why is that so crazy? But then when I ate it, and I just felt this tingly feeling, and I just didn't realize that it really was used for healing purposes. So anything, as you can see here, right? Any inflammation in the body, right? And so I understood after Nalani brought it to us and put it on the table, because I was like, I wonder what that is. Why did she bring it there? Because it's a healing property. It's a healing, what they used to heal, Native Hawaiians use that to heal our bodies. And then red clay salt, alai, we did learn from Kumu that it does help with pregnancies. I had no clue, and also it was used for ceremonial or blessing homes and things like that. So then I understood how powerful this little vial is. And if you just look at it, you're like, oh, this is some orange powder. But if you really know the meaning behind it, it's extremely powerful. It can really heal from the inside out, And so our counselors were able to do that, and they were able to participate in this activity. They did think of the word, and I wanted to share. I know Drake might kill me, but his word was curiosity, because he's always curious about fixing things, making things better, trying to have better systems in place. He's amazing, right? And so he chose curiosity as his word, and then we looked it up in the Hawaiian dictionary, and the word, it said niale. So I would just say, oh, that's what it means, but it could be in a good way too, right? So it was something
that they would agree to that.
Yeah. But even we were so grateful that they just dove right in the journey with us, and Mickey too. Thank you so much for supporting us, and the counselors that were able to stay to the very end to do this activity. We hope that it had made an impact on you to take care of yourself and to really look inward sometimes, because we're always pushing out our energy to help others that we forget to help ourselves through this journey. So this is some feedback we got. The symbol is a good reminder to show empathy to myself and to practice that self-care. And then another counselor said, I went home and felt a sense of calmness and balance, and I even took a nap. So we hope that day was for them and that they could go home relaxed before we started the next week, which is the first day of school. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, now I know we are running a little bit long, but what we wanted to do is afterwards we kind of stepped back and we wanted to take a look at the takeaways. And we wanted to share that with you and a little bit about the takeaways when we went on to a couple of not conventions, what am I thinking of? Conferences, yeah. Okay, but first of all, when we had the counselors come to the workshop, we asked them to write down their stress level. And we did this because we had just finished several months of registering. School was about to start, I think it was January 6th, and a lot of them wrote down on a scale of 1 to 3, a 3, that they were major stressed. And then we went through the workshop, and after this workshop was over, we asked them to write down what their stress level was at that moment, and a lot of them put down 1. So it really showed us that the things that we shared with them really helped them to alleviate their stress. So that's the first thing we learned. Second thing we learned is oftentimes in the morning, we as counselors, we would get together and talk, and things like what did you do last night, and what appointments do you have today. But in the workshop, we had this opportunity to share, student success stories. We talked about, people who really made a difference to us and motivated us, and those kind of things that don't usually come up in normal conversation. And as a result, the counselors felt more connected to each other, which was amazing. In fact, some of the things that they shared right there is that they wanted to practice Ike Olopono every single day. Right, but of course we got to step back and we want to double check and see how could we improve on these things, and we like to talk, so we found out that we really needed to give more time to the counselors to reflect, because in the beginning we were just talking a lot. So we thought, okay, we're going to give the counselors more time to reflect and more time for discussion. But bottom line is, and we thought this was great, that they all wanted to do this each semester because it was a way for them to rest, take a deep breath, to talk to each other, and to get rejuvenated for the next semester. Right. And of course, like counselors do, we gave out surveys. So we wanted to find out exactly how they felt. And as you can see, 100% of the counselors felt that after participating in the activity, they felt a more deeper pilina to the other counselors. They also felt that they were able to introduce themselves in Hawaiian. And 3/4 of them felt that they had learned a cultural-based health and wellness strategy, as well as that they recognized their potential for greatness. So we thought that was a success.
Yeah, and we were fortunate again, HISSI, to present, and these are just some of the quotes that we wanted to highlight, and some of them said that just focusing on themselves would help, and they're inspired to achieve, feel inspired I can achieve things, through these activities. I think it was through that last activity about thinking about their word. And then I really like this one, we'll share takeaways with my colleagues on my campus. So we're happy to hear that they gained something and that they're going to share it with their colleagues. And again, we had the same type of assessment, and then we noticed that maybe some we could have worked on, maybe trying to do the deeper pilina, but overall we did feel like they did gain a lot through that session, and we did have them come up afterwards, and we're super blessed to hear their comments and how they felt. You wanna get this?
AATN was a little bit different because it was completely online. So we didn't have the opportunity to talk with the individual participants like we had with HISSI. But they did give us a lot of good feedback. In fact, one of the pieces of feedback that they gave us was because UH is a learning institution, they felt that we should have a more cultural-based learning. So I thought that was a great thing, right? And in fact, I think one of them on the far end, they shared that they're going to take the same idea back to their counselors and use it with them. So I thought that was a great comment. One of the things that they gave to us, though, that we really took to heart and we're going to really work on, and that's when people come and listen to you give a workshop, they look at you as being the experts. And so it's on us to learn the language better. So that was a real wake-up call for me. So I'm really going to take more time with Kumu's help to learn to pronounce the words a lot better, to speak Hawaiian a little bit, but maybe not fluently, but a little bit better before we go out and speak with others in the workshop again. All right. And much like on all the other surveys, we had really good feedback. 80% of everybody agreed with all of the things that we had asked them. We also wanted to share with you because we had some really good resources. I mean, I'm sure you would agree, some really good resources, and we wanted to recognize them, that we utilize that in our presentation. Jill had mentioned earlier the Ho'ula Aina was just amazing. Yeah.
And then we did get this number 5 TED Talk is where that's how we started the conversation after watching that video. And we can always give it to you if you'd like, and you can take a look, or if you join, thank you. You'll be able to go through the experience, yeah. And so we just wanted to leave, we left them with this Olelo no Eau, and again, thank Gretel, we love this one too. And so we view ourselves as a picking stick, right, to help them reach their goals. That's our role, and all of us are just working towards one goal, is to help them to graduate and move on to bigger and better things. And then we'll see them 10 years down the line and they'll say, Jill, I'm a journeyman at blah, 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 or I'm doing this. And that's full circle for me. That's why I do what I do, and that's why we do what we do as counselors, yeah. And so I think that is it. Mahalo, everybody.